The time has come to put Welt into the DPS role and see how he performs against both Yanqing and then also Sam on the second side. So this first fight is going to be pretty much a race to see how quick we can kill Yanqing, and the second side is going to be pretty much an anti-race to see who can survive the longest. And since it seems that trampler thing didn't get imprisoned from Welt's technique, it will be fine because we can just push him back a little bit further with this ult. Okay, nice. I will just make sure not to waste too many skill points because we're going to use Sparkle's ult next. So we do usually always skill twice with Tingyun immediately. And now hopefully we can get a good distribution from this bounce, because it could just miss our two main enemies every single time. And we got pretty lucky. Very lucky actually. And it landed all on our targets. One of those could have missed honestly and just hit the trotter. So that was pretty good. And now with the dot damage that it just took, hopefully just one skill from Welt will be able to finish it. And then that way we can save the ult for the next wave. Perfect. Now Yanqing didn't get imprisoned from the technique either, so hopefully he gets imprisoned now, and he did resist it once again. Which is kind of annoying because we probably could have weakness broken him immediately before he even summoned his sword things, but now we'll have to result to taking out the swords and then finishing him off. Now here it's always a game, because if we skill with Ranmei and she gets hit, we could get the ult up immediately, but then we run into a problem where it's possible Sparkle doesn't get hit, because I don't have energy regen on Sparkle, so it really messes with my rotation sometimes. Now maybe it would have been better just to do one bounce to make sure it hit Yanqing, but I think this skill is fine as long as we did hit it once, which we did. And now we clean up pretty much all the swords. Tingyun can finish off that last sliver of sword it has. And then we can just action advance Sparkle in front of Yanqing. Perfect. And now Welt has two more actions, or usages of an ability, and Yanqing is no more. Should have used the skill first and then finished it with the ult. That would have been a little cooler, I think. Beautiful. Okay, now as I said before, this fight is pretty much a battle of attrition. So we do have to try to use our resources to the best of our abilities, right? And also keep our health topped up in the most manageable way possible. And when it comes to this side, we could try to kill the shadow first, or we could try to kill the left enemy. Now, the problem with the left enemy is that it applies a lot of bleed to just one unit, but the problem with the second enemy is that it just applies too much wind shear to everybody, and then everybody gets close to dying. So pretty much, I mean, it's not like we actually have a choice, because Welt's hits are just bounces, but there is an ideal, and there is an unideal, and the ideal is for the bleed enemy to get taken out, and then we can then focus on beating the shadow, which is good. But only if it got imprisoned at the very beginning, because if this was its second action, then it'd be doing the whole, like, 10 stacks of wind shear to the entire team. So because that was its first action, it only did one hit, and then a little tail swipe that just implanted 3. Now at this point, it's kind of a little bit of like a weird circumstance, because you want Sam to actually have his actions sooner, that way he shows his weaknesses, and then you can deal extra damage. But the problem with that is is that then you're just wasting too much ults and too much energy that you're saving up on the front end. So for that reason, we do just have to kind of either hope that he doesn't actually get imprisoned from Welt's ultimate, or we just deal enough damage so it's fine. That's kind of the route we take. So even though we're going to get 3 Welt turns before Sam can even move, it wouldn't have been as much damage as if we just did these actions while his weaknesses were not being hidden. And the slow, of course, too. The slow does push him back a little further. It doesn't let him climb as fast either. At this point, it would be nice for that one little sliver to disappear, because that's just going to soak one of our bounces from Welt. But we're just have to rely on Tingen, I guess. Now at this point, after we skill, we'll wait on the ult, and then hopefully we can interrupt him. And if the imprison lands right now, perfect. He gets pushed back, and now we have another rotation before he even moves again. And because we have Tingyun's ult up too, that means that we're going to get an action advance on the whole party. And most importantly, Welt's ult is going to be up once again. Now Sam's pushed out of the cycle entirely. Although I guess he climbed back in. Now, unfortunately, 1%. If only he had just taken a couple of extra procs. If one of those debuffs that the Trotter applied was a bleed, I think that 1% would have been enough. But unfortunately, he's going to have to take our 1 cycle away from us and just leave us with a 2 cycle. But it was good enough for Welt. So for Welt, he does have 76% crit rate, just to make sure that all of his extra hits do actually land. His E1 and E2 are the most important, just for the extra energy and for the damage. But other than that, the rest of them don't matter too much. Slow Mei with Von Whack, and Fast Sparkle on a little bit of a buff. Pretty nice. And Tingen super fast Von Whack too. Done. Thanks for watching. Any suggestions? Leave it in the comments. Like the video. Adios.